Hello everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. I'm Cooking with Rev, and today we are making a quick and easy lunch. It's a grilled ham and cheese sandwich. Now some of you might be saying, Rev, why are you making a ham and cheese sandwich? Everyone knows how to make that. Not everyone knows the proper way of making a grilled cheese sandwich or even a grilled ham and cheese sandwich. I'm not actually going to show you the proper way because I don't know if any of you guys have seen the Hellmann's mayonnaise commercial where they say to use mayonnaise instead of butter. I saw that commercial and I was actually like, hey, that looks kind of interesting. Maybe I'll try it sometime. Didn't originally plan to do it as an episode of Cooking with Rev. However, when I was up in Michigan visiting family, I had a chance to go through my grandmother's old cookbooks, and surprisingly, there was actually the same recipe in one of her cookbooks, but it said to use Miracle Whip instead of butter. So I have some Miracle Whip, and since it's an older recipe than what you guys may realize, because Hellmann's just recently put out that commercial, this recipe actually goes back to like 89 because my grandmother passed in 90 and it was in her cookbook, and I think it had the copyright thing at the bottom of the page and it said 89. So this one actually goes back a ways, so we're going to try it and see what I think of it. So it's kind of like a live taste test almost, just to see if I like mayonnaise better or stick with the butter. So let me show you the ingredients we're going to need and we'll get cooking. Alright, so first ingredient we're going to need obviously is our Miracle Whip. You can use regular mayonnaise of any brand apparently because Hellmann's has theirs out. I have Miracle Whip on hand at the moment, which is by Kraft, so we're going to use that. Secondly, a couple slices of bread. I'm going to make one sandwich, so we'll need 2 slices. We'll need a slice of cheese. Some people like to use 2 slices of cheese. When dealing with a ham and cheese sandwich, I tend to use 1, otherwise you get that big bubble of cheese melted in the center of the sandwich, and when you're trying to take a bite of the ham, if it's a tough piece of ham and it doesn't rip right away, it like draws the whole thing out of the sandwich and all the cheese just goes dripping down your chin and your chest and everything, makes a mess, possibly burns you. So I'm only going to use 1 for the time being. And then of course we need our ham. This is just Oscar Mayer smoked ham. It was on sale, so I got it. Alright, so let's get this sandwich put together and on the stove. Also on the stove right now, I do have my pan heating because I like to put everything in while the pan is hot as opposed to waiting for it to heat up, because that's how you tend to burn the grilled cheeses. So that's heating right now. Let's get the sandwich assembled and we'll go from there. Okay, so first thing we want to do is open up our bread. This is a new loaf. I have another loaf in the fridge, but it only has the crusts left, so I'll probably use those up on just a regular cheese sandwich or something instead of a grilled cheese, because the heels don't toast up very well. So we got our 2 pieces of bread. 1 and 2. You're going to need a spreading knife or a butter knife, whatever you guys choose to call it. We're going to need our Miracle Whip. So you're going to get your Miracle Whip on the knife, like so. You're going to spread it onto the bread. Get a nice even coat all the way across. Now if you don't like the mayonnaise and you want to just make a regular grilled cheese or ham and cheese sandwich, you do the same step but with butter instead of mayonnaise. So there's our first one. And here is our second one. Again, get a nice even coat all the way across. If you need to dip back in, get a little bit more, then go for it. There's a whole jar, there's plenty to use. Okay. So there's those. Now we'll need 1 piece of cheese, and I usually go about 3 slices of ham, which is about what's left in here. So there's our ham. Now let's move over to the stove. Okay, so as I said, this pan is preheating, so what we want to do is take our piece of bread, mayonnaise side down into the pan. You hear the sizzle. We're going to fold our ham into halves. And just layer it on. The bottom one I turn the opposite way so it's got a nice even layer. Get our piece of cheese, take the plastic wrapper off of it. I have to express that to some people apparently. Place that on top and then top it with our other piece of bread, mayonnaise side up. So now we're just going to let that cook for a couple minutes. We'll flip it over and we'll see what we got. Okay, so it's been about a minute or so. Like I said, the pan was preheated, so this is going to cook fairly quickly. I'm going to get under it and give it a flip. Probably should let it cook a little bit more on that side, but that's okay. Give it a nice little tap down there. We're going to flip it back onto that side, let it finish browning up. As you can see, it was actually getting a nice crust around the edge. So now we're going to let the other side cook, flip it back over, let this side toast back up properly, and then we'll go from there. Okay guys, so as you can see, I let the other side toast a little bit longer than that side. So far, one downfall I see to cooking with the mayonnaise as opposed to when you work with the butter. When you spread the butter on the bread and then you have it facing up, the heat coming off of the pan slowly melts the butter in from the sides to the center. And usually once about the time you see that it's fully melted all the way across, that's the proper time to flip it. And then you let that side toast for like a couple minutes and just kind of check it occasionally. And that's usually when you get a nice even coating like that. Because the mayonnaise doesn't melt the same way the butter does, it's really hard to tell when exactly you're supposed to turn it, so you do run a slight risk of burning it this way. But it actually looks like it toasted up kind of nice here. The other thing that I run into the problem with is, like before when I flipped it and the other side wasn't quite done, when you try and give that press to make sure the center is getting toasted, it sticks to your spatula quite a bit. So there you can see I let it cook just a little bit too long and it's getting a little bit dark, but it is done. So we're going to turn off our heat and we're going to plate this up and I'm going to give it a try and let you guys know if I like the mayonnaise version better or if I want to stick with the butter. Alright, so here we have it plated. I cut it in half. Going to let it cool down for just a minute because it was really hot. I almost burned my hand trying to cut it. So I'm going to give it a couple minutes to cool and then I'll be back to try it and let you guys know what I think. Okay guys, so it has been a couple minutes. The sandwich is slightly cooler but not completely cold. So I'm going to take a bite and let you guys know what I think. Bon appetit. It's not bad. It doesn't quite have the same flavor overall, at least to me, that butter does. Butter just kind of gives it that buttery flavor, which I love. But this isn't bad. It does still feel a little bit tacky, even though it did start to burn a little bit. It still feels a little bit tacky. That might be remnants of the oil that's actually in mayonnaise. But overall, it's not horrible. Would I ever make it like this again? Probably not. I'll probably stick to butter. But supposedly it's supposed to be slightly healthier for you than using butter, so if you're interested in trying it, it works. Just be very careful when cooking it. Maybe tomorrow I'll actually make a normal grilled cheese and I can kind of splice it in so you guys can see what I was talking about with the butter melting. Not sure yet. But, yeah. Go ahead and give it a try if it looked interesting to you. It's not horrible. I know it's making it sound like I don't like it. It's not that I don't like it. Like I said, it's just different. And it definitely has a slightly different taste than if you were to just use butter, which is what I'm used to. So that's more or less what it is that it's different, not that it's bad. Personally, I'd probably stick to butter though. So that is it for this episode. Again, as always, thank you guys for joining me today on Cooking with Rev. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are in the description and up in one of the corners. It's the bottom right corner of the channel banner. And until next time, everybody, get out of my kitchen.